She carried 2 newborns and a burned diary. The lonely cowboy recognized his father's handwriting. Welcome back to our channel, fellow story lovers. Before we dive into today's incredible tale from the American Old West, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You won't want to miss any of our heart-wrenching stories. And please, drop a comment below telling us where in the world you're listening to this story from. Are you in Texas, Brazil, Germany, or maybe somewhere completely unexpected? We love hearing from our global family. Now settle in for a story that will take you on an emotional journey through dusty trails, forgotten secrets, and the power of family bonds that transcend time itself. The sun barely crested the horizon when Samuel "Sam" Morgan spotted the lone figure stumbling across the desert toward his ranch. From his porch, coffee mug in hand, he watched through the heat shimmer as the person struggled forward, clearly exhausted. As the figure drew closer, Sam realized it was a woman, young, maybe 25, with torn clothing and dust-caked hair. But what made him drop his coffee was what she carried, 2 small bundles pressed against her chest. "Mom!" Sam called out, rushing down from his porch. "Mom, are you all right?" The woman collapsed to her knees just 50 yards from his fence. Sam vaulted over the wooden rails and reached her as she looked up with desperate green eyes. The bundles she carried were newborn babies, twins, no more than a few days old, wrapped in what had once been a clean white dress. "Please," she whispered, her voice cracked from thirst. "Help them. They need milk." Sam knelt beside her, his weathered hands gentle as he helped her to her feet. "Come on, let's get you inside. I've got goat's milk, and my neighbor Mrs. Henderson knows about babies." As they walked toward the house, Sam noticed something else clutched in her hand, a small, leather-bound book, its edges charred and blackened. The woman held it as if it were more precious than gold. "What's your name?" Sam asked, as he helped her up the porch steps. "Rebecca," she replied. Then after a pause, "Rebecca Miller." Inside the modest ranch house, Sam quickly prepared warm goat's milk while Rebecca sat in his only comfortable chair, feeding the babies with makeshift bottles. The morning light streaming through the windows revealed more details. The woman was clearly well educated, her speech refined despite her exhaustion. The babies were healthy, thankfully. But Rebecca herself looked like she'd been through hell. "Oh, where did you come from?" Sam asked gently, settling into a chair across from her. Rebecca's eyes darted to the burned diary beside her. "Millbrook, 3 days, walk east. There was a fire. Bandits." Her voice broke. "They burned everything, killed." She couldn't finish. Sam had heard of Millbrook, a small settlement that had been trying to establish itself for the past 2 years. If bandits had hit it, there wouldn't be much left. "These your babies?" he asked. Rebecca shook her head. "My sisters. She died in the fire, made me promise to keep them safe." She looked down at the twins, a boy and a girl, both with thick dark hair. "This is Thomas and this is Sarah." Sam nodded, understanding the weight of such a promise. "They're safe here. We'll figure out what to do next." As the day wore on, Rebecca seemed to relax slightly. She helped Sam prepare a simple meal, and he found himself impressed by her capability despite her trauma. But he noticed she never let the burned diary out of her sight. That evening, as the twins slept in a makeshift crib Sam had constructed, Rebecca finally spoke about the book. "It belonged to someone in Millbrook," she said, running her fingers over the damaged cover. "I found it in the ashes. I can't read most of it because of the fire damage, but what I can see—" She looked up at Sam with those green eyes. "I think it might have belonged to someone you knew." Sam's heart skipped. "What makes you think that?" Rebecca opened the diary carefully, revealing pages that were partially burned but still readable in places. "There's a name here, Morgan, and mentions of a ranch. A son named Samuel." The room fell silent except for the soft breathing of the sleeping babies. Sam's hands trembled as he reached for the diary. "May I?" Rebecca nodded, watching his face carefully as he began to read the few legible passages. His eyes widened as he recognized the handwriting, shaky and aged, but unmistakably his father's. "My God," Sam whispered. This is my father's diary." Sam stared at the pages, his mind racing. His father, William Morgan, had disappeared 15 years ago, leaving only a note saying he was going east to settle old debts. Sam had never heard from him again. "Where exactly did you find this?" Sam asked, his voice tight with emotion. Rebecca shifted uncomfortably. "In what used to be the general store. The owner, Mr. Patterson, he was kind to me and my sister when we arrived in Millbrook 6 months ago. After the attack, when I was searching for survivors, I found this in the ruins of his store." Sam carefully turned the fragile pages, trying to piece together the readable fragments. His father's handwriting, though faded and partially burned, told fragments of a story Sam had never known. "Came to Millbrook to find peace. The weight of what I did to my boy. Sent him away when he needed me most. And cattle rustling wasn't worth losing Samuel's respect." Sam's eyes filled with tears. He remembered the night his father had accused him of rustling cattle from neighboring ranches, accusations that had led to a bitter fight, and Sam's decision to strike out on his own. He'd been 19 then, proud and stubborn, and he'd never tried to reconcile with his father. "Patterson says Samuel has his own ranch now, successful. Proud of the man he's become. Wish I had the courage to ride west and ask his forgiveness." "He was proud of you," Rebecca said softly, having read the same passage. "He wanted to come home." Sam wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. "I was so angry at him. I thought he'd branded me a thief in front of the whole town. I never gave him a chance to explain." Rebecca reached out and touched his arm. "Maybe that's why this diary survived the fire. Maybe you were meant to find it." Over the next few days, as Rebecca recovered her strength and the babies thrived on goat's milk, Sam and Rebecca worked together to piece together more of the diary's contents. They discovered that William Morgan had become a respected member of the Millbrook community, helping families settle and establishing a small church. He'd apparently been saving money to return to his son, hoping to make amends. "There's something else," Rebecca said one evening as they sat on the porch, watching the sunset. The babies were sleeping peacefully in their crib inside. "I haven't told you everything about why I was in Millbrook." Sam looked at her, seeing the struggle in her expression. "You don't have to tell me anything you're not ready to." "But I do," Rebecca said firmly, "because it involves your father, and you deserve to know the truth." She took a deep breath. "My sister Mary and we weren't just settlers in Millbrook. We were running from something. Our father back in St. Louis, he was a violent man. Mary had these babies with a man who promised to marry her, but he disappeared when he found out she was pregnant. Father was going to throw us out. Or worse." Sam nodded, understanding the difficult position they'd been in. "Your father found us sleeping rough on the outskirts of town when we first arrived. He took us in, gave us a place to stay above the general store in exchange for helping Mr. Patterson. He was like a grandfather to the babies, even though they were only born 3 weeks ago." Rebecca's voice broke. "The night of the attack, he died protecting us. The bandits came looking for money, but when they started threatening Mary and the babies, your father," she wiped her eyes, "he fought them off long enough for some of us to escape. He saved our lives." Sam felt a surge of pride mixed with profound sadness. His father had died a hero, protecting innocent people. The man he'd thought was a cattle rustler had actually been a protector of the vulnerable. "I'm sorry," Rebecca continued. "I should have told you sooner, but I was afraid you might send us away if you knew we were part of the reason he died." "Send you away?" Sam stood up and knelt beside her chair. "Rebecca, my father did what any good man would do. He saved lives. That's the man I remember from my childhood, before our fight. You've given me back the father I thought I'd lost." In the weeks that followed, Sam and Rebecca fell into a natural rhythm. Sam taught Rebecca about ranch work, and she proved to be a quick learner. The babies, Thomas and Sarah, grew stronger each day. Rebecca had a natural way with them, but Sam found himself growing attached as well, often staying up late to rock them back to sleep or walking the floor with a colicky baby so Rebecca could rest. One morning, as Sam was repairing a fence post, Rebecca approached him with a serious expression. "I've been thinking about what comes next," she said. "The babies and I can't impose on your hospitality forever." Sam straightened up, his heart sinking. Over the past month, he'd grown to love having them around. The ranch felt alive in a way it never had when he was alone. "You're not imposing," he said carefully. "This place is big enough for all of us." "But people will talk," Rebecca replied. "A single woman living with a single man, raising babies that aren't married parents, in a small town like Willow Creek, that kind of talk can hurt a man's reputation." Sam had been thinking the same thing, but not for the reasons she might expect. "What if we gave them something else to talk about?" Rebecca looked at him questioningly. "What if we got married?" Sam said, the words coming out in a rush, not just for appearance's sake, but, "Rebecca, I've come to care for you, and for Thomas and Sarah. I'd like to make this arrangement permanent if you'd have me." Rebecca was quiet for a long moment, studying his face. "You're not just saying this out of obligation, because of what my father did for us. I'm saying it because over the past month, I've watched you turn this house into a home. I've seen you sing to the babies, seen you laugh when Sarah grabbed your finger, seen you stay up all night when Thomas was sick. I've seen your strength and your kindness, and I've fallen in love with you." Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. "I've been so afraid to hope for something like this. After everything that happened with Mary's situation, I thought no decent man would want a woman with this kind of complicated past. Your past is what made you who you are," Sam said, taking her hands. "And who you are is someone I want to spend my life with." They were married the following week by the circuit preacher who came through Willow Creek monthly. Mrs. Henderson and her husband stood as witnesses, and the whole town turned out for the simple ceremony. Sam had never seen Rebecca look more beautiful than she did in the simple blue dress Mrs. Henderson had helped her sew. The babies were baptized the same day, with Sam and Rebecca standing as their adoptive parents. As the preacher spoke about family being more than blood, about love being a choice as much as a feeling, Sam felt his father's presence strongly. He wished William Morgan could have been there to see his son find happiness. That night, as they sat on their porch, now truly their porch, Rebecca brought out the diary one more time. "Odun, I've been saving this," she said, opening to a page they hadn't been able to read before. The fire damage had made the ink run, but in the right light, some words were visible. "Samuel was always the better man. Hope someday he'll forgive an old fool. If I don't make it back, I pray he finds a good woman and has the family I never gave him." Sam's voice was thick with emotion. He got his wish. "There's more," Rebecca said, turning to the very last page. "Leaving this diary with Patterson. If anything happens to me, he promised to make sure Samuel knows his father loved him, proud of the man he became. Couldn't ask for a better son." Sam closed the diary gently. "We'll keep this safe. Someday, when Thomas and Sarah are old enough, we'll tell them about their Grandpa William, how he saved their lives and brought their family together." 3 months into their marriage, Sam and Rebecca faced their first real test. Word came to Willow Creek that the same band of outlaws who had destroyed Millbrook was heading their way. Sheriff Matthews called a town meeting, and the news was grim. "They're calling themselves the Black Creek Gang," Matthews announced to the gathered townspeople. "Led by a man named Jake Cordell. They've hit 4 towns in the past 6 months, always the same pattern. They take everything of value and burn what they can't carry." Sam felt Rebecca's hand tighten in his. The memories of Millbrook were still fresh, and the idea of losing their new home, their new life, was terrifying. "What do we do?" asked Mr. Peterson, who ran the general store. "We defend ourselves," Sam said, standing up. "We've got warning this time. We can be ready." Some of the men nodded agreement, but others looked skeptical. Sam was respected in the community, but he was still one of the younger men, and some of the older residents weren't sure about following his lead. "And how do you propose we do that?" asked Tom Bradley, one of the older ranchers. "We're not gunfighters. Most of us have never been in a real fight." "My father faced these same men in Millbrook," Sam replied. "And he wasn't a gunfighter either, but he knew what was worth fighting for. Our homes, our families, our future. If we don't stand up for these things, who will?" Over the next week, Sam helped organize the town's defenses. They moved the women and children to the church, which had the sturdiest walls. The men took positions around the town's perimeter, with Sam coordinating their efforts. The night before the expected attack, Sam and Rebecca sat up late, talking about everything and nothing. The babies slept peacefully in their crib, unaware of the danger approaching. "I'm scared," Rebecca admitted. "I can't go through what happened in Millbrook again. I can't lose you." Sam pulled her close. "You won't lose me. I promise you that." "You can't promise that," Rebecca said, but she held him tighter. "I can promise that I'll fight for us," Sam said. "For you, for Thomas, for Sarah, for the life we're building together. That's what my father did, and that's what I'll do." When the Black Creek gang rode into Willow Creek the next morning, they found a town ready for them. Instead of the easy targets they'd encountered elsewhere, they faced organized resistance. Sam's preparations paid off. The outlaws were caught off guard by the coordinated defense. The battle was fierce, but brief. The townspeople fought with the desperation of people protecting everything they held dear. Sam found himself face to face with Jake Cordell himself, a scarred man with cold eyes who seemed to take pleasure in destruction. "You're making a mistake, cowboy," Cordell snarled. "We'll burn this place to the ground." "Not today," Sam replied, and meant it. When the smoke cleared, the Black Creek gang was finished. Some were dead, others wounded and captured. Jake Cordell himself was among the wounded, his days of terrorizing settlements over. Sam ran to the church, where he found Rebecca waiting with the babies and the other women. When she saw him, whole and unharmed, she burst into tears of relief. "It's over," Sam said, holding his family close. "They're gone. We're safe." 1 year later, Sam stood in the same spot where he'd first seen Rebecca stumbling across the desert. But now, instead of empty wasteland, he saw a thriving community. The victory over the Black Creek gang had brought the town together in ways no one had expected. New families had moved to Willow Creek, drawn by stories of a community that stood up for itself. Rebecca appeared beside him, carrying Sarah while Thomas toddled along at her feet. The babies had grown into healthy, happy toddlers who filled the house with laughter. "What are you thinking about?" Rebecca asked, following his gaze across the desert. "My father," Sam replied. "How he set all this in motion by saving you and the babies. How his actions in Millbrook led to everything we have now," Rebecca smiled. "He'd be proud of what you've built here." "What we've built," Sam corrected. "All of us together." They'd kept William Morgan's diary, now carefully preserved in a place of honor on their mantelpiece. Sometimes, in the evenings, Sam would read the legible passages aloud, sharing his father's words with Rebecca and, as they grew older, with Thomas and Sarah. The children had grown up knowing the story of their grandfather William, who had saved their lives and brought their family together. They understood that family wasn't just about blood, but about the people who chose to love and protect you. As the sun set over Willow Creek, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Sam reflected on the journey that had brought them all together. A burned diary, 2 orphaned babies, and a woman with nowhere else to go had transformed his lonely ranch into a home filled with love and laughter. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't found that diary?" Rebecca asked. Sam considered this. "I think we would have found each other somehow. Some things are meant to be." As they walked back toward the house, Thomas riding on Sam's shoulders and Sarah babbling happily in Rebecca's arms, Sam felt the presence of his father once more. William Morgan had found his redemption not in returning home, but in the family he'd helped create through his sacrifice. The diary had been damaged by fire, but the love it had preserved and the family it had brought together would endure for generations to come. In the end, that was the greatest legacy any man could leave, not just the love he'd given, but the love he'd made possible for others. As they reached the porch, Sam turned for one last look at the desert. Somewhere out there, in the ruins of Millbrook, his father had made the choice to save 2 babies and a young woman. That choice had echoed through time, creating ripples of love and family that would continue long after they were all gone. "Thank you, Pa," Sam whispered to the wind, "for everything." And in the gentle evening breeze, he could almost hear his father's voice whispering back, "I'm proud of you, son. I'm proud of the man you've become." The circle was complete. The family was home at the end. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey through the American Old West. If this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible tales. Don't forget to comment below and tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing from our global family. Until next time, keep believing in the power of love, family, and second chances.